best Speedway ARCS Racing Network, back at it for TNT. This is SK here alongside Kevin Harvick Fan, otherwise known as Kevin. But looks like we are already starting out lap one under caution. So this is going to be fun. I do know Arch Enemy took the pole. He is sitting in second at the moment, right behind Boss E Geo. 140 laps going to be done tonight, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Kevin, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Pretty good. It sounds like you got a little bit of cold, so I hope you feel better. But no, I'll be honest. I love my short tracks. Of course, we got called Bristol on Tuesday for the truck and Xfinity side of things. Now we head over here to the corn state, old Iowa. They even got the start-finish line painted like an ear of corn, so you know they take pride in that. But of course, this place is a multi-groove short track, as there's some interesting antics going on my screen in the pits. Gotta love it. But some very entertaining short track racing ahead of us under the lights. Always nice to see it. Iowa, about a 7/8 mile D-shaped oval, very similar, and it gets compared a lot to Richmond, but it's a little bit bigger than Richmond, and there are some subtle differences. Most notably, at least in this game, you can actually run the outside. So the one thing that's really fun about this place is it ends up being multiple grooves usually. The bottom is preferred, but you can run the outside. The big thing there, though, is the seam up between the third and fourth lanes. You can also run the second lane a little bit. You can kind of run all over this place. The preferred two lines, though, are going to be the bottom mainly, and if you can get the momentum rolling on that top side. Handling is going to come into play later. Some tires could come into play, not as much as they maybe should in the Cup cars. They didn't quite get the tire wear right, but it could come into play later with long runs, maybe losing some grip, similar to what would happen like off of turn 2 at Richmond. So this is going to be a fun one, SK.
Yep, 40 laps of fuel estimated usually at this track, so it's going to be a lot of fun. TNT's known for its green flag racing. Iowa is probably one of my favorite tracks. I'm an IndyCar guy, and running at Iowa was always one of my favorite tracks. So, gonna see these Cup guys tackle this corn-fed monstrosity or little monstrosity. It's a tiny racetrack, but it is a monster to tame sometimes. Be interesting to see how the lanes go off. Looks like the caution lights are off. We are green. Bossy Geo in the lead in the number 8 Chevrolet. See if these guys can get settled in and start finding a groove. And we should see some really good racing, Kevin, as the back of the pack looks to be kind of shuffling around a little bit. We've got some good racing going on.
Indeed, you'll see that here. The other thing that's really fun about this place is the restarts and how wide this place actually is. Sometimes you'll catch 2, 3, 4 wide, and that'll cause some jostling around in the pack. Especially 2 restarts are so crucial here, trying to get down into turn 1. Where do you go on the restart if somebody's checked up in front of you? Things like that really gets everybody kind of jumbled around. You'll see them fan out on the front straightaway, and then still be a little bit fanned out going through 1 and 2, but they'll kind of thin out, and then they'll usually get thinned out to probably about 2 wide coming off turn 2 down the backstretch.
Track position super important here early on when the tires are good and awesome, because once we get towards the pit window, these cars are hard to drive, hard to keep these things planted where you want it and still maintain the speed. Right now, looks like Bossy Geo, the Bohemian, is still out in front. Rocket and rolling Arch Enemy back in second. Rock NASCAR 388 in the booth tonight. How's it going tonight, Rock? Hopefully you are having fun, and these guys at TNT put on a show for us. Bossy Geo looking beautifully, as looks like the 88 of Arch Enemy starting to get battled by, I believe that is the number 2 car of Glixen, who is subbing for COT Tommy. So we've got a sub in tonight for the veteran COT Tommy.
Indeed, and Gavin, I'll tell you what, Gavin in the 2 car, and obviously this is my first week commentating here, and I've enjoyed it, and I'm sure I I'm already enjoying tonight a lot, so I'm sure that'll continue to be the same for me. But obviously, I've kind of paid close attention to TNT and ARCS as a whole. Throughout the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, particularly because Gavin has been running these races. I'm good friends with Gavin, but I can tell you right now, he ran pretty good in the Xfinity race on Tuesday, which was Bristol. Obviously, a very different racetrack, but kind of some similar things that you can carry over from that, which is obviously tire wear was a huge factor in the handling that can come into play here, as well as trying to manage your stuff, trying to keep the car under you, those types of things, being patient, all that. He's pretty good at that, and he's pretty good at these short tracks usually anyways. He's done a very good job from what I have noticed just from watching the streams. Talking to him, he feels like he's done a pretty good job in the TNT races that he has run so far, which hasn't been many. But it's been quite a few, and obviously running up here into the top 5 very early. I'm sure Tom is going to be really happy to see that, and especially if it continues through the rest of the night.
How about the 53 of Jaco battling the number 48 of Tristrad for 4th and 5th position, respectively. The number 4 of Deplorable Meat and that Bush Apple Ford Mustang right behind
Might be biased
him.
a little bit.
Then we've got Nifty Agenda in the 22nd in 7th place. Right now, your race leader still, Boss E Geo. Clicks it in 2nd. Arch Enemy 3rd. Jaco 4th. Tristrad in the 5th position. We've got a couple cars looking to make a change. The number 19 of Working Tom doing what he does best, is kind of working behind them. We're on lap 14 of 140. So we still got a lot of racing left to go in about 25 laps. We're probably going to start seeing the pit window open up. Drivers are going to start going in and making their adjustments. Looks like we got 3 wide in the back. Looks like the number 9 of Seth Dubb, the 51, and the 14 back there along with Richie. These guys are racing hard in the back, trying to get some position. They are 3 wide, 2 rows deep. Will and Ice back there subbing for Term V. Jan Graham's subbing for Jacket tonight. And then Briley, who's in the Xfinity race on Tuesday, doing really well here in Iowa, trying to make up some track position. Kevin, we are seeing some awesome racing so far. Probably going to be clean and green all night.
Indeed, and that's been a common theme with this series from just us talking, and from what I've seen out of these guys, it's a common theme. But this track will put that to the test a little bit in the sense of, obviously, you're gonna have some guys, obviously, especially later on, trying to maybe find speed, getting up by that outside wall, trying to see if they can carry the momentum through the corners here on old tires, things like that. As that wears out, you're gonna have issues from that seam, I can tell you right now. And it's more so relevant when you take the Xfinity cars here or the trucks, but it does affect the Cup cars quite a bit. That seam up between the 3rd and 4th lanes, looks like we're under caution.
Looks like we are back under caution, but a new race leader of, looks like Glickson has made it around, so he is going to lead a lap, which is very important for COT Tommy, because here in TNT, we run the old Winston Cup points. No playoffs, full 50% races, no stages. So if you lead a lap, you get bonus points here, and it looks like he is going to claim a few bonus points for COT Tommy. So congratulations to Glickson leading a lap here in TNT. Be interested to see if he can hold off that Bohemian Bullet known as Bossy Geo and the rest of the field. Arch Enemy, we know, is fast here. He qualified on the pole. It's be interesting to see how this works out. We pull back up to our race driver. And Kevin, we might still see green flag pit stop still really early on. Looks like the number 41 of Moldy Muskrat stayed out.
Indeed, that's an interesting strategy. Again, 2 times wear isn't extreme, but tires do matter here, especially on the restarts. You want to try to get as good of a launch as you can. Obviously, this game does have, and I'll be honest, it's not the greatest representation of it. If you compare it to something like iRacing or even some of the better simulation console games, but this game does have tire temperature simulation to an extent in it, and that will matter on this restart. It'll be interesting to see how he is able to restart and hold these guys off on the older tires. That was probably, what would you say, SK, a 10, 12 lap run there or so. So you factor that in. He's got some laps on those tires.
It was about 15.
Yes.
15 out of the 40 that you can get on the field window.
Indeed. So definitely quite a bit of length on those tires. I like the call maybe to try to get the track position. We'll have to see how it does on these tires. It'll be very fun to see, and this could get interesting as well if he doesn't launch all that great and some of these other guys behind him do. Might see him do that thing I talked about earlier, all the fanning out, trying to go in 3, maybe even 4 wide headed down here for turn 1. It'll be fun.
Caution lights are going to be turned off. Looks like we're going green this time by Bodie Muskrat. Has the ball as he enters the restart zone. We are green. Looks like he just goes down just to lead a lap and bails out of the way. Let's pull up to the number 2 Blixen, who's still stuck on the high side. Bossy Geo rocking and rolling down low, but looks like he is going to get the speed off the corner. Arch Enemy trying to tail him right behind him as well. They're almost 3 wide back there for second. TriStrand looks to back off just a tad bit. Beautiful racing going on here tonight. Blixen right now leading the charge.
Indeed, and it'll be interesting to see. The one thing I noticed about Gavin's car, early enough, and if I'm these guys right now, I might be a little bit worried because Gavin seemed like his car was only, and obviously it wasn't an extremely long run, but 15 laps is a pretty good run. It seemed like his car was only getting better as the run went on, so the fact that he's already jumped out to this lead so far, and obviously he's got a few guys kind of close to him at the moment, not really under any extreme pressure, but he can't make a mistake right now, or they may be given the opportunity to get by him for the lead. But if this continues and his car is doing what I think it is, which is getting better through the long runs, again, these Cup guys, these Thursday Night Thunder guys, well, they don't get slowed down by lightning too much, lightning delays, because as you can see, they've been very clean. We've had a couple of cautions here early, but for the most part, these guys keep it green and clean. What that means is long runs. This is a place that also lends itself to long runs. Factor all that in. Gavin has it
looks
made
like
right
we
now.
are wrecking. It looks like the 51 is into a couple cars. That should bring out the caution next time by. Let's pull back up to our race leader. Looks like the 51 in heavy trouble. Let's ride along with our race leader as he crosses the start-finish line and see if he checks up.
He is. Oh, maybe not.
Nope, looks like they're going to consider that a single car, so we are not going to be under caution this time. Blixen still leading this race. Bossy Geo, second place. Deplorable B has moved his way up to third. Looks like Arch Enemy and Seth Dub 9 will round out your top 5. Lurkin Tom and TriStrand still very close by back there, right along with the Knight of Seth Dub as Lurkin Tom goes to challenge. You can definitely see the guys riding the different lines, Kevin.
Indeed, and I tell you something I've always noticed about Lurkin Tom when I watched him. I got to watch him back when I called the Spark races, and I got to watch him a little bit in some of the other custom or preset leagues that I was able to call for a little while. He's always that guy that doesn't make a ton of noise, but he's fast and he's smooth and he's consistent, and he's doing that very well so far tonight, because you see he's just kind of very methodically but quickly at the same time worked his way up here inside the top 3. He's been around here for a little bit, but he continues to try to work his way forward and just patiently work his way around the cars in front of him, try to work his way up towards the lead. Obviously he's going to have some tough competition, but Lurkin is so good at being consistent with what he's doing, being patient, and just staying focused on the goal at hand and not getting too far out of reach with what he's trying to do, not overstepping too many boundaries, and that's what makes him such a good driver. He's very consistent, he's very smooth, and it works so well. And at a place like Iowa, where you need to kind of get into a rhythm a little bit in a sense. You need to be patient. You need to do all those things. It only fits even more into his wheelhouse, and you're seeing that right now as he continues to move forward. That's good.
Working doing what he does best, work until he sees the opportunity. Was able to squeeze by the 88 and the 9 to bust into the number 4 spot. Trying to track down DP. Looks like the 88 into a little bit of trouble going into the wall. Right now, the battle for the lead is heating up as Bossy Geo is up there trying to challenge the race leader of Blixen, subbing in for COT Tommy. So 2 red or yellow and black cars, 1 Chevrolet, 1 Ford, battling it out here up front. Right now, looks like Blixen decided to take the high line. Bossy Geo trying to still make the low line work. About
And here's what
another
I'm
12
noticing.
laps until we hit pit windows.
Ooh. So now we're getting into the long run here, and this is where I thought Gavin's car was a little bit better, but it seems Bossy has just found something, maybe made a couple adjustments, whatever. Obviously, he got a little bit of a taste of a longer run before that last caution came out. 15 laps is a pretty good run. Maybe made a couple adjustments. He's still not able to quite clear Gavin, though. It seems what's happening now, Gavin has moved up the racetrack. Bossy will get a run and almost get to his quarter panel, maybe up to the left rear tire on corner entry, but the momentum that Gavin's carrying running up higher on the racetrack is just carrying him with momentum off the corners down the straightaways, and he's pulling that gap back out. It's kind of a cat and mouse game right now. I think what's going to have to happen is either Gavin's car is going to need to fall off, Bossy's going to need to find some more speed, or Gavin is going to have to make some sort of mistake right now, because right now it's just kind of a dead heat. Gavin, oh, he got the wall a little bit there, so maybe that's what he's going to need. And he did.
Boss is able to squeeze in front of him. New race leader, Bossy Geo. Looks like Lurkin Tom able to get around Deplorable B. Lurkin Tom now sitting up in the podium. They're 3 wide right behind them. But as the battle for the lead continues, Blixen looking to recover to try and get back around. I believe that is 11 of Boiled Ice now sitting in the 4th position. Boiled Ice was back there towards the back, so he has made his way up, subbing for the number 11 of Term V. So that is going to be an amazing feat for him, getting Term V all the points he can tonight. But Bossy Geo right now leading the race, the Bohemian Bullet, as Rick James just popped in the chat, calls him, or the Clearwater Assassin. That man hails from the Bahamas, racing here with ARCS, duking it out against the young man Blixen. Blixen gets down around in turn 1, trying to exit high to carry the speed. Looks like they are still going to be side by side going into 3, Kevin.
Indeed, and again, you see this. This is why I love this place. You see the multiple lines. They're really showing how well they work right now. Bossy is using that inside lane. He gets the advantage on the corners. The momentum is then carrying Gavin on the outside, and it just keeps these guys side by side. They calm down for the time being, but this isn't over, SK, and I suspect it will probably continue to go on for a while. Bossy's trying everything he can right now. Gavin, same thing. These guys are putting their heart and soul into driving these stock cars around here, and it is very entertaining to watch. This is why I love short track racing, and this is why Iowa is such a fun racetrack.
Iowa's short, but it's wide, it's banked. It is a lot of fun to drive around. We've still got 99 laps remaining here. This will be definitely interesting once we see pit windows start opening up, and we're definitely going to see green flag pit stops. So I kind of wonder if these two are going to tail in tandem together going down pit road. But Lurkin Tom seems to be making up a plan of ground as he is starting to catch these two. Seth Dub 9 in 4th, and Deplorable Me currently in 5th, but the number 11 of Boiled Ice, the Tier 2 driver subbing for Term V, right behind him, arch enemy within striking distance of the top 5 as well. 97 laps remain, Kevin.
Indeed, and I want to point something out because you see, especially their top two, Gavin and Bossy, still going at it right here. Obviously, they've been going at it for a while. Kind of calmed down now, but they're still nose to tail, and actually, they begin to close in on the back of the field just a little bit. There's a couple of lap cars up ahead that they will have to work around, but we're closing in on pit stops. We'll see when they get there. The one thing that I haven't talked about, and actually, I guess this will be the first time some of you guys maybe get to hear this from me. I'm sure you'll hear it a lot more though. Is these guys are so close together. And tires mean quite a bit here. The fall off is pretty decent. The option and the ability to short pit could become a thing for some of these drivers, depending on how their cars are handling and where they feel like. For example, pick whoever you want to be in first and second.
Oh,
It
we
just
got
kind of
one
keeps
spinning
going
to the
back and
front,
forth.
back right. But looks like it's a single car. We're able to keep going. That was almost dangerous.
The leaders are close though.
Pay attention to the leaders as they come to the line. I don't believe they are checking up. They are still golden. Right now, we are about 13 laps worth of fuel, but I'm getting reports from teams already that the tires are already starting to fall into the low 50s, high 40s. So I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make it 12 laps. They're going to have to maybe try and short pit a little bit. There was a little bit of trouble back behind. Looked like Seth Dub 9 and the 19, or sorry, the 11 of Turn V got into a little bit of a scrape. So, unfortunately, he's going to have to falter back a little bit. But now that the leaders are starting to mix into lap traffic, the number 41 of Moldy Muskrat struggling here tonight. Blixen still leading this race. Looks like Lurk and Tom looking to pass Bossy Geo. Kevin, we may start seeing pit stops for the next 4 to 5 laps.
Indeed, and I think if I'm Bossy right here, I'm going back to my point that I was making originally, as it looked like maybe, at least on my screen, Gavin tagged the wall a little bit there, coming off the corner. But if I'm Bossy, I'm starting to lose track of Gavin here on the longer run as the tires begin to wear out. Now Lurkin has caught up to me. I'm about to maybe lose second place. If I'm him, I'm in a position now where I think about doing that short pit, going in, getting fresh tires, getting the handling back to where I need it, and trying to go gain lap time, which equals track time, and ultimately track position, trying to leapfrog these guys by short pitting. I definitely think if I'm Bossy, that is something I'm heavily considering right now, trying to pit here within the next few laps, get off these worn out tires, get on some fresh Eagles, and start soaring like an Eagle and try to leapfrog the guys that I'm racing, which would be Larkin and of course Gavin, trying to close that gap back down.
Right now, Gavin still in the lead, Lurkin Tom second, Bossy Geo third, Seth Dub 9, our 8 squared champ. And I believe the number 4 of Deplorable Me was rocking 4th place, or 5th place. So that rounds out your top 5, as we've got about 6 or 7 laps remaining on fuel. It's be interesting to see the pit windows opening up within the next 4 to 5 laps. Cars have already started to go down, and we did see a lot of the back markers start short pitting already. But we've got 88 laps remaining, so we possibly could see 1 or 2 more pit stops, because the fuel window is about 40 laps. They've only got about 5 laps of fuel left. That leaves everybody 3 laps shy. So we might see fuel saving at the end, Kevin.
Indeed, definitely could happen. But again, you talk about the tires. I think on a custom setup here, that would be easy fuel, easy money. I don't know about the presets here. The tires are wearing out pretty good. You're losing a lot of lap time the longer you stay out on these tires, and that goes for any run after this. Same situation. You also factor in the handling. You'd have to back it down quite a bit. Now, obviously, over the course of 40 laps, you can save 3 laps of fuel. It's not hard, especially too if you decide to split that up over the course of 2 runs, which I don't know if any of these guys have done or not. The key is there. Again, how much are you giving up on tires? Would it be easier to just go into the pit and take 4 new tires versus, or a second time, versus just staying out and trying to conserve all that while being slower on the tires, plus trying to conserve? It's just, I don't know, it's an interesting balance. It definitely can be done. I'll be interested to see if anybody tries it though, and how well it works out for them if they do.
Right now, looks like Lurk and Tom are going to get around Blixen, who's going to lead this lap, possibly see if he can fend him off for Lurkin to get those extra bonus points for leading a lap. Right now, he's down low. Lurkin trying to get the speed up top, carry the momentum. Looks like he might cross the start-finish line. A little bit of contact, definitely. Lurkin Tom led a lap, so Lurkin Tom's going to lead that lap as they're coming up on to lap traffic. Probably about next time by, we're going to start seeing the green flag pit stops. Looks like these guys are trying to save just a tad bit to try and make it a one-stop race.
If they can make it to about 80 laps to go right here, they can definitely make this on one more stop. Even 81, they can save another lap of fuel here on another run. So it'll be interesting to see. Definitely, you want to try to get, and actually they're going to have 2 more runs because they're going to have to pit 1 more time. So regardless, the question is, are you going to pit 2 more times? That's kind of the borderline that everybody's battling right now. If you've already pitted, as of right now, you're going to have to pit 2 more times. However, again, you still have ideally at least 2 more runs to try to save those 3 laps or so of fuel. Again, it's fun to see. I'm watching Gavin, though. He's starting to struggle. He's slipping back. I'm hearing him off the gas quite a bit more, starting to fight the handling of that race car on the tires. And actually, it looks like he's headed into pit. He is.
Heading into pit road, the leaders are going to cross the line with 81 laps remaining. So these guys almost got it. Oh no, and word in the pit, Boiled Ice got hit with a speeding penalty. But whoa, Bossy Geo gets way loose. He's going to go down pit road. Lurk and Tom electing to stay out 1 more lap. So that could really benefit him or possibly hurt him, as he is going to enter that fuel window to make it on 1 more stop after this. Lurk and Tom coming down pit road. Right now being scored as the race leader currently. As that changes, we will change through drivers. Let's go ahead and hop back up to Bossy Geo, which I believe is still in the pits. Hopefully he's not serving a penalty. He's about ready to take off, hopefully, and we will see where he is at compared to the rest of the field as he exits. Lurk and Tom getting his pit service done now.
Gavin as well unlapping himself from lurking right here as he heads through turn 1. A lot going on, SK, strategy-wise. You got guys pitting on different laps. That's what makes these fun. Obviously, Lurkin now, he's in the fuel window. He should be good to go on 1 stop without any issues. And it seemed like, too, Lurkin, and I don't know if it was maybe because Gavin and some other guys were just saving a little bit harder or what, but it seemed like towards, I'd say the last 10 laps of that run, Lurkin found some sort of extra something in that car because he started rolling. He ran Gavin down and passed him very quickly, very easily. It'd be interesting to see if any of these other guys like Gavin, like Bossy, make some adjustments, especially Bossy, who really started to seem to fall off in the last 15 laps of that run there that he made. It'll be very interesting to see what adjustments those guys made under the pit stop to get their cars better. And now as well, look at Gavin. Gavin pitted on lap 81. That ideally with 81 to go. Ideally, what that'll mean is he's about 1 lap outside of that fuel window. Now, he's going to have to pit. Everybody will have to pit at least 1 more time, SK. But the difference is, will some of these guys have to pit twice? I think if you're within that 1 lap, and we saw it looked like Gavin was saving other guys. Of course, we've already talked about Larkin. I don't know about Bossy. I would suspect he probably saved as well. So you look at all these guys, I think they're going to try to make this on just 1 more pit stop, and they don't have too hard of a challenge trying to save the very minimal amount of laps that they have to save. So it'll be very interesting to see not only how the racing is, because it's been great tonight, but also how the strategy works out.
Right now, Glixen back being scored as your race leader. The number 48 of Tristrand led a lap in the fuel windows. It looks like he got a penalty and now going to be a lap down. Lurk and Tom in second. Unfortunately, the number 11 of Boiled Ice is a lap down. 34 laps remaining. Looks like he's going to get his lap back. How long can he hold it on? Not sure, but with 74 laps, Some of these guys are already starting to show deep into the 80s on tires and looking to have to do. Some guys are going to be able to do a one more stop. Some guys are going to be cutting very close. They're going to have to try and save and give up some track position to make it on one more stop. Blixen right now back leading the race here Thursday Night Thunder under the lights at Iowa. Kevin, we are definitely in for an exciting feat as the leaders are all still right there. Lurkin's right there. Boss is still right there. Seth Dub 9 still in view of the leaders, which is awesome to see after a green flag pit cycle. We still have 4 cars right there next to each other.
Indeed, and here's what's also fun about this SK. Not only that, after the pit stops, the field got very much more, or a lot more spread out than what it originally was. That happens usually. There's quite a bit of lap traffic up here they're going to have to contend with too, and we saw how when Gavin got into lap traffic earlier, that gap really started to close. We saw an amazing battle for the lead. Finally, that kind of settled down after probably what felt like, I don't know, 10 laps or so. I don't know if it was actually that long or not. It's kind of what it felt like, which is, I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I love seeing that. But, and then, of course, Larkin ran a bit down later. Lap traffic's been playing a pretty big factor, though, because as a lap car, it's kind of hard to tell where to go because obviously you want to run your lines as well. But, you know, the leaders, you know, some of them run the bottom, some of them run the top. You don't really want to run the middle because, again, if your car's a little bit unstable or you make just a slight mistake, you end up on that seam and it can cause major issues. You don't want to be that guy that accidentally wrecks and takes a leader out with you. So a lot of pressure for the lap cars. They've done a great job, but you do see them factor in a little bit to these lead battles and what your leaders are doing. It's fun, and again, it's another aspect of short track racing that makes it all really fun to watch is the lap traffic. It's a big play into everything. There we go.
68 laps remain, 67 at the line. Got about another 20 laps on fuel, or sorry, 28 laps on fuel. These guys are going to have to stretch it to lap 40, or to 40 laps to go. Otherwise, they are not going to make it. Blixen right now leading the race. Let's see if we can't pop up. It's right along with Tri-Strand as he gets a perfect view of the battle for second, where Lurkin Tom and Bossy Geo duking it out for second place right now.
Indeed, and it's been
Tri-Strand's got the fresher tires. He is the lap car, so he's kind of yielding a little bit of the racetrack, but also trying to make the pass to try and get around these guys, maybe to try and get his lap back. Bossy Geo and Lurkin do what they do very well, always racing side by side.
Indeed, and you get that a lot here. Again, the lap cars as well. Look, if you can lap yourself under green, which it's a tall task, especially as well. Gavin has not a huge lead, but he's got a comfortable lead right now. He doesn't really have any pressure, on him at the moment. But if you're a lap car right now and you're maybe just 1 lap down, or even if you're 2 down, if you can go get that back under green the old-fashioned way, that could mean, I mean, this kind of sounds weird to say, but life or death for your chances at, you know, a really good finish, maybe a win, because that gives you the ability, if you're 2 laps down, to maybe go try under a caution if you happen to get one and get lucky enough to catch up to the guys you need to pass to try to get free pass on another caution. Or if you're just 1 down, it puts you back on the lead lap, and when you take a free pass or something, you don't have to, or where you would have had to take a free pass, you don't have to do that. You can start back up where everybody else is, and you're not really at a disadvantage as far as track position in the event of a caution. So all that means so much, and that's why you see some of these guys race a lot harder.
It looks like we are under caution.
I seem to see where this happened. You see a couple guys going to go get their lap back.
As we hit caution, unfortunately, it was, looks like some lap traffic got caught up into a bit of a fray, and we are back under caution for the 3rd time tonight. So this would definitely make things interesting. Everybody's going to go down and definitely pit, get their fresh stuff, but that means we're going to have to definitely pit one more time after this tonight. Be interested to see how this
Yeah.
plays out as everybody gets ready to probably shoot down pit road. If it were me, I would be going down, getting my fresh stuff, getting ready to rock and roll. But I'm not in the car tonight, so it'll be interesting to see what these drivers and these teams decide to do, as a few guys are definitely going down pit road. Some guys are going to stay out, try and get their laps back.
Indeed. If you're on the lead lap right here, there's no reason not to come down and get tires. We're probably a good 15 laps again into this run. It's time for new tires. I'll tell you what, though, if you were one of those guys that were trying to save fuel to make it on just the one more stop, you did not want to see this caution. All that work, it all just went out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. Everybody's going to have to pit one more time. You're not saving the 15 to however many laps. It's a lot of laps. You're not saving that amount of fuel. I'm not even going to attempt to do the math, because point is, you're not saving that amount of fuel. Now you will have to pit again. What will be fun about this, unless we get another caution, is it's all going to be on straight up speed now, and there's also going to be a very wide window as well when we get later on in this thing, where these guys are pitting now. We could have a very wide variety of short pitting ability, because you have so much wiggle room within your fuel and your tires. You can probably go, I'd say, SK to 25, 30 to go, if my math would serve me right, on this fuel tank now. So if you put all that into perspective, these guys have a very long range now after we go back to green, if this stays green, to be able to short pit one another, and that can make things very interesting because it brings the tire games back into play.
Tire game and speed tonight. It's really all about the speed. Now, we've seen a lot of guys have great long run cars, great short run cars. We are going to be going to green probably on lap 82. So not many laps remain. We're doing 140 here tonight. So Kevin, we can definitely
58.
see some jam-packed racing.
Indeed, we've seen a lot of it tonight already. A lot of side-by-side. I think that's going to probably ramp back up here again. Larkin's up here. We've seen some new guys with some speed. They're going to get a chance at this restart here, and I think this is going to be a really fun one. I think this is the first one we've had since about lap 30. It's been a little while. We ran quite a few laps under green. We get to re-rack them, restack them, and we're going to roll them again here, SK.
Roll them again as we hit the restart zone. We are green flag. Bossy Geo leading the charge, but Blixen gets a good jump on the outside. Let's head back up to our front man. Well, Bossy Geo as Seth Dub 9 looks to make an impressive / aggressive move. Didn't quite pay off, but Blixen out to a huge, demanding start as Bossy Geo in second, Seth Dub 9 third, Lurkin top fourth, Deplorable Me fifth at this current time. Got a lot of racing left to go.
And I gotta wonder, I don't know if maybe Gavin actually was scored the leader and he maybe chose the outside, because he got such a good launch off that restart. I just don't believe if you weren't the leader, I don't know how you get that good of a launch. Now, if you're the leader, you obviously have control of that. You know when you're going to go. I think Gavin actually was scored as the leader there and just chose the outside because it does launch better and you get the momentum. He had that line already through the corner, and he's been running up there a lot of the day. He seems to like that outside line, SK. So I think Gavin was the leader on that restart, and obviously he did an amazing job with that restart. Huge launch, and he is now trying to run, but these guys have caught back up quite a bit now. They've closed it back in.
Definitely closing it in, but Bossy Geo back there challenging. So we've got the seasoned veteran and the young rookie up there battling, which is really nice to see Glixen up there in the lead. It just shows what our tier 2 talent is like. Here at ARCS, we run the tier system. So guys that first come in have to go in to ARCS 3, which is our trucks. Then You move on into ARCS 2, which is the Xfinity cars, and then you get moved up to TNT or A squared moving to iRacing next year. So it'll be just TNT. So it'll be fun to watch as these guys continue to progress as we continue racing here tonight. Glickson off to an amazing run. But Bossy Gio doing what he always does really well, staying patient, staying calm. Working Tom, of course, doing what his name says best, working in the back there of these two battling out. He's going to wait for his ample opportunity, and you're going to see him just shoot on by if the opportunity arises. Deplorable Me sitting back there in the 4th position. I believe that was Richie C. USA in 5th. Or sorry, Boiled Ice being scored in 5th. So another Tier 2 rookie out there getting points.
Indeed, and again, look, for these guys that are trying to make a case for why they should be in Cup, they're definitely doing that tonight. Gavin up here has led a lot of this race, done an amazing job. You see, like you were just talking about, a couple other guys here around and just outside the top 5 that aren't full-time TNT drivers, and they want to make that case, and they're doing a nice job of it here tonight at one of the more challenging racetracks as well. So definitely making a good case for that. But I tell you what, somebody I want to make a good case for again is Larkin. He's done so good. But the other thing I noticed earlier, and I think I talked about it a little bit, was he has a really, really good long run car. I'm talking really late run. He just hits another cylinder on that thing. He finds a 9th cylinder or something in that engine because he just launched up past some of these guys later in that other run. So you talk about that. There's no reason for him to push right now because he knows he has a strong car. However, what I'm also noticing, SK, is this lead battle has closed quite a lot.
Yeah, we've got about 4 or 5 cars under a blanket. Lurking Tom looking to get around Bossy Gio, and he's opening the door up to try to get around the number 2 of Glickson as well. The number 4 and the 11. Ooh, getting into a little bit of a scuffle back there. That's going to open the door for Seth Dub9 to try and squeeze back into the top 5. Bossy Gio had to yield 2nd place to Lurkin Tom. Lurkin now going up to try and challenge the race leader. Let's actually ride along with Lurkin.
Oh, he's here, buddy. Taking a peek. Nothing
Lurkin
yet.
Tom tried to get around him. Glickson doing everything he can to defend, and he's defending well, but can he try to fend off the TNT and former TNT champ? Lurkin Tom, one of the winningest drivers in TNT.
Looks to the bottom. It was like he keeps peeking to the bottom, but it's just like he doesn't have quite enough. Larkin, I'm talking about, keeps peeking to the bottom of some of these corner entries and just doesn't quite have enough to really stick a nose all the way in there. He keeps peeking like he's trying to show Gavin, hey, I'm here, I want to go down there, but he just doesn't quite do it. I don't know if maybe he's trying to play a little bit of mind games with Gavin and maybe force him into a mistake. We saw that happen earlier when him and I think it was Bossy were battling for the lead, or Bossy was trying to catch him. Gavin went in up on the high side where he'd been running, but he got a little bit too ambitious, a little bit too high, and ended up tagging the wall, and it cost him the lead. Now he was able to battle back and get it, but he's fallen to that before. Larkin, with that experience level, and we know how smooth he is, maybe trying to force Gavin, or attempt to force Gavin into maybe another mistake and make his job a little bit easier.
This time by 43 laps remaining. We know everybody's going to have to stop one more time. When I get reports on the fuel window, I will let everybody know. But right now, Lurkin Tom starting to make that inside work. He's trying to get ahead of the 2, but right now the 2 is carrying so much speed going up high. Right now, Lurkin looks like he's just going to try and tail and follow until he sets up a good pass. The number 2 still doing a textbook job of keeping him contained.
Oh, he looks.
I thought they were side by side for a second. They're going to go into turn 3. Looks like Lurkin may be able to have the momentum to get around. They're going to be a drag race to the start-finish line. Lurkin Tom's got the speed. Can he get around him to try and pitch off? Right now, leading this race by about a fender. He's starting to get the speed. He does finally clear him. Lurkin Tom, your official race leader at the current moment. 40 laps remain here tonight at the line, Kevin. We have caught some great racing. When I get some fuel windows, I'll let everybody know.
Well, I can tell you right now, if it's 40 laps on fuel, we are now in the fuel window. Now, I don't expect anybody to go down this early, but you could and make it from here. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. Anytime between now and whenever these guys run out of or are absolutely forced to pit, they can go down pit road, and it's a pretty wide range of laps. I'd say somewhere around the, I don't know, 20 lap range or so, maybe 22 laps of freedom here they have that they can play with. So what to see. And I tell you what, Lurkin got that lead, and he has just since kind of distanced himself. He clearly had speed. Obviously, he didn't want to follow Gavin around the racetrack around that high side, because you're not going to gain anything by doing that. He was trying to make the pass, but he got by, and he's starting to slowly pull away. And actually, Gavin is starting to slip back into the clutches of third place.
Looks like Gavin may have burnt his tires up defending it so well. For a while, he was racing every 3 lines of the racetrack you could run on this. He was using every inch of the racetrack to try and keep Lurkin contained. But now Lurkin is around him. Bossy Geo now up to second. Looks like Boiled Ice and Seth Dub 9 now going to try and get around the number 2 of Glixen. But Lurkin Tom out to a great start. But here comes Glixen yet again. Let's try and get a better view of that battle for third.
Gavin on the bottom now as well, kind of out of his home. He's been running that high side all night, kind of stuck on the bottom right now. Finally, looks like maybe can find his way back up to where he's been running, which seems to be where he's comfortable at. But definitely burning the tires off that thing. He's been doing such an amazing job all night. Was actually doing a pretty good job as well early on in this race of kind of conserving and holding on to the lead. But now it just seems like he's sort of in a bit of a free fall. Like you said, maybe burn his tires off or something. Or maybe the handling has just gone away on that 2 car. Whatever it may be, he does not quite have the same speed, or at least not in the long run like I thought he did. Whereas some of these other guys have found the long run speed, particularly Lurkin. He is just continuing to add on to that gap, and he's doing an amazing job. Gavin now, though, has kind of slipped into some freedom. Doesn't have a ton of pressure on him at the moment. He'll just try to ride and conserve what he can until it's time for him to pit.
About 12 laps remaining on fuel, 33 laps remaining in the race. The battle for second, third, and fourth still continuing. These 3 cars still underneath the blanket. Lurkin Tom has pretty much checked out. Tires are already in the 50s on the right sides by team reports. Got some reports coming in. So we're going to definitely see some green flag pit stops coming up in about 10 laps, as we have 31 laps remaining at the line.
Indeed, and I tell you what, SK, again, you say we can go more, about 10 laps more. I don't know that all these guys will do that again. I bring up short pitting because it is something these guys have the option to do. If you see Lurkin out here pulling away, you know he's got a good long run car, so what are you going to do? You want to try to beat him where he's not quite as strong, and that's the short run. How do you do that? You go down before he does and get 4 fresh tires and try to make up ground that way while you have more speed than him regardless, and he's not quite as strong on the short run as some of these other guys are, so you'll kind of grow that leg a little bit out as well and try to close that gap. And especially maybe if you're somebody like Gavin, who has continued to slip back just a little bit here, I think he's got to be somebody who's really looking at maybe heading down pit road here before too long, trying to get some fresh tires and trying to regain some of what he has lost here.
Rick James in the chat says tires in the 50s, question mark. Yeah, teams are already starting to report that the tires are already in the 50% range. They're already half gone. Some guys Some teams are reporting up towards the front. Some of the leaders are in the mid 40% range on the right side. So these cars are starting to get really hard to handle on exit. We're seeing some of these cars kind of dovetailing it on exit, but some of these guys are still able to keep it clean. Lap times are definitely falling. About 6 laps remaining in the fuel window, and about 27 laps to go when we cross the start finish line. Lurk and Tom still out front, making it look easy. Still riding along with Bossy Geo as the top 5 have kind of went single file. So this is another strategy that some of these guys are going to be pulling. They're going single file. They're going to try and save their stuff for maybe a lap to try and get a good run and a good pit stop and maybe come back out with the lead. So we'll be interested to see as these guys start getting ready to go down pit road in the next 4 to 5 laps. These guys are probably going to stick it out till the very end when they absolutely have to pit. So it'll be interesting to see, Kevin, as the top 5 has kind of just settled down. Looks like Boiled Ice, one of the contenders of the top 5, is short pitting. He is going to go get some fuel, about 26 laps remaining.
Indeed, and I tell you what, I like that call again. Try to go gain stuff. The one way you can do that in the short term is go down pit road before your other competitors that you're racing around and gain time on them on fresh tires. The other thing too that's going to be very important, if they have the ability, and I don't know exactly what the fuel per half can ratio is, if you want to call it, how much I guess you get, but the other thing these guys are going to want to try to do, if they can and they can still make it, is they're not going to fill the car up all the way with fuel either. They might try to put a can and a half in. I would suspect a can and a half will probably get you to where you need to go. Maybe just one can, depending on how long you really stretch this out. So that's going to be another thing. These guys are probably going to be a little bit faster on the short run if they don't fill the cars all the way up than what they've been tonight. I also expect maybe some very slight adjustments, as this won't be quite as long of a run to the finish. You won't be going 40 laps, obviously. You'll only be going about 27 at most. Most of these guys probably going more around the 23 to 25 lap range. I expect some very small adjustments as well, maybe on these last pit stops, or what could be the last pit stops of the night, just to kind of get the cars maybe a little bit more free, a little bit faster for the tail end of this run.
22 laps are going to remain. Deplorable Me in the number 44 Bush Apple has made his way into second place. Got around Boss and Blixen both. Pit stops are already underway. A lot of the backmarker cars have started going down pit road. Around 22 laps are in play. Let's try and pop back up to our race leader. As it looks like Blixen going to elect to go down pit road. He is going to take that. Bossy Geo following suit. Was able to get the cars slowed down to keep out of the penalty. Here comes Workin' Tom. Seth Dub 9 went down pit road a few laps early as well. Looks like Workin' Tom and Deplorable Me may be... No, Lurkin Tom goes down. Let's see who's going to be scored as our race leader. Let's ride along with the number 11 who short pitted earlier. Right now, I know he is currently being scored in 5th. So
I expect that to change. Tell you what, though, I got to give a shout out to old DP. Obviously, we've talked about him a little bit tonight. He's been around the top 5. I think the highest he's been up until a few laps ago was, I think he had gotten up to the 3rd position at one point. But he's been very, very quiet, really. We've talked about him some, but he's been very quietly working his way forward throughout this last run here. And he ended up working his way, like you said, SK, up into the 2nd position. So very quiet, but very good run tonight.
Real quick, sorry to cut you off, but Lurkin Tom coming out of the pits. Right now, Boiled Ice soars by him, gets a lot of breathing room. Boiled Ice in the number 11, your race leader. Lurkin Tom in second place, and he's got a lot of real estate to make up. 18 laps or 17 laps is going to remain at the line. Boiled Ice out to a great run, so you called it. Short pitting a little early, get those laps, get some good clean racetrack on nice fresh set of Goodyears, and it paid off in full.
Indeed, and again, look as well. The other thing that again, at least we've seen most of the night is Larkin isn't quite as strong for probably the first 5 to 7 laps of the run. That takes him a little bit for his car to really get wound up. Now, once it gets wound up, the thing's a rocket, but it takes him a little bit. So, if obviously, if you do this, that kind of gives you a little bit of hope as well, and it's really working. I tell you what, I didn't expect him to gain that much time by short pitting, but he did it enough, and those guys stayed up quite a while longer. Now, the only downside to this is towards the back end of this run, these guys are going to catch up to him because they're going to be on fresher tires, obviously, but it's not as significant of a gap as he had. Your leader now, when he came in, got tires, and came back out, those guys were on nearly 40-lap-old tires, still running while he was on new tires. Now it's only about a 10-lap difference or less on the tires. So you take all that into account, tell you what, it's going to be fun here because I think Larkin's going to be able to run him down. It'll be interesting to see how hard these two fight one another and if anybody else can come into play here before this is all said and done, SK.
Well, unfortunately, Larkin lost a little bit of time due to trying to get around the number 3 and Suis sideways. So Larkin made a few contacts, had to slow up quite a bit for a couple laps as we witnessed on the screen, which is opening the door to the number 2 of Glixen. If he can make it smoothly around that number 3 car, Glixen may enter into the play for second place. So kind of a fun, exciting fact here tonight. We have 2 Tier 2 sub-drivers in the top 3. Glixen in third. Boiled Ice, our Season 1 truck champion, is in first place. So it just shows the amazing talent we have here at ARCS at all 3 levels. If you want to race with us, visit racearcs.com. Check us out, see current and future plans. We will get you in the Discord and racing ASAP on the Xbox side and iRacing side. It looks like the number 11 has caught up to lap traffic, but he may got an open window for to get around him. But Lurkin Tom is coming up quick.
Indeed, I think the tires are now, of course, we're about in the point of the run now where Lurkin's car starts to really dial itself in. It comes to him, and now he gets into that part where his car begins to get stronger and stronger. I think as this run will go on, he'll continue to get faster. Boiled, obviously, he did a really good job with the short pit, made the best of it. He's going to have to fight, though. This is not over yet. Black traffic, I think, before the end of this is going to come into play as you go through further and further through the field. I think you'll probably start to get eventually into maybe some packs of lap traffic, which we know could cause a little bit of mayhem for your leaders. So this thing is far from over, SK. But you know what I would like to see, and I don't know if I know you guys keep track of who leads laps and stuff during the race. I'd be interested to see, just how many laps or a percentage of laps that we've run tonight that have been led by drivers who are subbing or are not full-time in Cup. We know Gavin has led a lot. Now Boiled is up here. It's really impressive to see these newer guys come up here and show these Cup guys that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know how to lead these things, and I'm here to compete.
Looks like the number 19 has caught back up to the 11. So 7 laps remain here. 2 more laps. Cautions are turned off here at ARCS. We turn off cautions at 5 to go. So we're on 7 to go right now. 2 more times across start finish line. Lurkin Tom got around. Boiled Ice is now your race leader. If I was Boiled, I would kind of tail for just a few laps, try and save my stuff to make one last ditch effort to get around Lurkin Tom at the end. I believe the number 2 of Glixen is in third, Bossy Geo 4th. And I believe Seth Dub 9 rounds out your top 5. Mercantile out to a great run. We are at 6 laps to go. One more lap. Cautions are off. We are going to put this race in the bag and crown a race winner.
Absolutely, and I tell you, just a clinic that Larkin has put on. He hasn't dominated the race necessarily, because obviously, especially early on in this thing, Gavin led a lot. We saw Bossy lead quite a bit. Of course, we saw Boyle there and some other guys, but he has dominated what I would call the second half of this race. After really we got our first round of pit stops, he really started to show his worth. And just the long run speed that he has under the hood of that thing, it's incredible compared to some of these other guys. These other guys, I don't know if they're burning their stuff off or if Larkin, what he did with the setup, it just is so much better in the long run. But he just continues to have that long run speed. And I tell you what, right now, I think unless he makes some massive mistake, he's got this one in the bag, SK.
2 laps remaining at the line. Let's actually pull back up to boiled ice because it looks like we may have a challenger for second. It's right along with the number 2 of Glixen as he's going to get around the 3 to try and challenge boiled ice for second. Seth Dub died right in the mix as well. Working Tom gonna come to the line and take the white flag. Working Tom leading this race. Here's the battle for second. White flag is out. We are going to be finishing this race. Working Tom gonna take the race win. Second place is still undecided. Here they come. Looks like Glixen able to get around boiled ice. And he is going to take the checkered in second. Congratulations to Working Tom for winning the race. Glixen second, boiled ice third, Seth Dub died fourth. Bossy Geo fifth, Deplorable Me in the number 6 spot. 7th was Richie C USA, 8th Arch Enemy, 9th Tristrand, 10th Nifty Agenda. Give us just a few moments. We will be right back with our ARCS Racing Network podium. Back live from the ARCS Racing Network's podium. I am standing by with a man who played an amazing strategy was able to go out and lead some laps on that last pit stop. You short pitted. You had a ton of time, but unfortunately, Lurkin and Glixen were able to run you down at the very end, but still coming in the podium for being a tier 2 driver and a sub. Term V is going to be very happy with an 11 getting the podium here at Iowa. Boiled, what a race.
Yeah, it certainly was one. Struggled a little bit there in the first sort of 30, 40, 50 laps, trying to figure out where I was good, where I was slow. And then once I found something on the high side and realized that I could absolutely rip it, I ended up restarting 13th, climbed my way all the way up to 4th before the caution then came out a little bit later. So it was really just a battle of then also trying to get back up through the field, catch all the way back up to the dudes, and then sit there and try and see what I had left for them. Because I think I restarted 10th on that final restart that we had. I managed to battle my way all the way back up there to those dudes, but then by the time I got up there, I was starting to fall off. And then towards the end of the run, I knew I had to short pit them because I was just losing too much time. But in the end, it just came up short. I just didn't have what I needed on the long runs to really compete with Lurkin, but I certainly came close.
Yeah, definitely an exciting race. You almost had it, but like I said, being top 3 is nothing to shake your head at. Definitely try and carry some momentum going into next week in the Trucks and Xfinity race. So hopefully you'll continue rocking and rolling there as you are in the playoffs still in Xfinity. So we'll hope to see you back on the ARCS Racing Network podium on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm hoping to get right back up there and show up in the truck and Xfinity series to maybe even go out there and continue to push for a championship in both. So it was certainly fun tonight. Thank you, SK.
That was our Season 1 of 2021 Truck Champion Boiled Ice, standing by with our runner-up, the number 2 of Glixen, subbing in for COT Tommy. Kevin, talk to our second place driver.
Yes, sir, Gavin. Second time this week I get to talk to you because you got P2 again. Got a copy?
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what. Obviously, you're in the points lead right now down in Xfinity, but you come up here to the Cup once again in a substitute role for COT Tommy, who I'm sure will be very thrilled with your run tonight. Got a lot of laps led, as well as a very solid P2 finish. The car started off really good. You rolled off, I think, P5 and worked your way up through the field pretty quick, running in second, and eventually took over the lead. Led a lot of this race up until I'd say probably about half to 2/3 of the way. And then really when we got towards the tail end of the race there, you had the caution, you had a really solid restart, and then you kind of got run down for a minute there, pulled back away, and then just eventually the car started to fall off. How was the car, and what happened to it towards the end of the race?
Well, I think the car was great throughout every segment of the race. I don't think there was anything wrong with the car per se. It would just I was trying to run that high side the whole way through and try to run both lanes to even out tire wear, which was a huge problem that we were having. Just couldn't seem to keep the car stable on the high side for the whole run. If I could, I would, because I don't think I could really get past while I was up there unless I made a mistake of my own. But yeah, that high side was probably the fastest part. Had a really fast number 2 Ford Mustang, and we really tried to get all of it that we could there. And I tried to short pit because I had enough gas, and just didn't end up falling our way. I ended up coming out the same spot that me and Tom, when I came in the pit, still had about a second in between us. And then towards the final stage there, that little 20-lap sprint towards the end, I got hung up on lap traffic, and I was about to use the bumper, but finally got away around them. I probably could have made my way up there. I lost probably about half a second because of that lap traffic if I had tried to get around them earlier, but I just didn't want to risk wrecking the car. So I'm happy with P2. I think I could have got more out of it possibly if there was a shorter run towards the end. I know this thing was on rails, especially on that high side, that short run speed. So if we could have just gotten maybe a short run, I probably could have gotten something out of there. But Tom was really good too, so can't fault him for always putting together a balanced race car for all the way through. And today we just had a quick car, but not quick enough.
Indeed, and I got to ask as well. Obviously, you talked about you short pitted a little bit, and I know you got hung up with lap traffic. But do you feel like, obviously, if you observe what the 11 did there, and I know obviously you guys different handling cars, completely different races, but he pitted quite a bit, probably 3 or 4 laps earlier than you by I think my count, if that's correct. He pitted a little bit earlier even than you did to short pit, and actually took over the lead for a little while because he leapfrogged that much. If Do you think if you pitted earlier, maybe around the same time he did, that would have worked out better for you? And also, I do have to ask as well, when you take all this into account, how this goes, how can you carry this over to Xfinity moving forward as well?
Well, in regards to the strategy call, I think what we tried to do, I think the only thing I could have changed was taking 2 there. I mean, that's probably the only thing I could have done. If I would have pit the same time he would have, I would not have had, I'd had to take extra fuel. I was right on the dot, so the car was light as it could be. So I don't think it would have been ideal. I would have had to take probably a can and a half rather than a can. So that would have made me a little heavier in the back. I'd probably have 11 laps extra of fuel. So in that regard, I think the only thing I could have changed the strategy was 2 tires, but I didn't think the reward was as good as the risk when me and Tom were kind of about the same pace in the short run. So I tried to make up for it with short run speed. It just didn't happen. But for Xfinity, I think we head to Vegas next week, so that ought to be a good racetrack for us. I know a lot of guys in here are good at these 1.5 miles. I tend to be kind of like right in the middle, so we'll see if we can come away with one, and if not, we'll be setting our sights to Talladega, which is the week after.
Absolutely, man. Of course, Vegas, another one of those racetracks where you have the option to rim ride, maybe being able to, as you did that a lot tonight, take some of that as well to you, or from here with you to Vegas. I mixed that up real bad, but hey, it happens. And how about this for a stat, guys, as well? You're 2 out of your 3 on the podium tonight, both in substitution roles for the Cup Series tonight, not full-time drivers. So, very nice looking podium for the talent to come in this series. Gavin, congratulations on a P2 finish and a lot of laps led tonight. Look forward to watching you come Tuesday from Vegas down in the Xfinity Series as you chase the championship.
Thank you, man.
Indeed. Well, SK, obviously, podium here. Got a couple of newer, younger guys, but you're here with the winner and the one of the podium who was extremely experienced and was extremely smooth tonight. So smooth, in fact, that he took the checkered flag without any pressure, not really any issues. Larkin Tom is your winner, and you have him now.
Standing by with the man, the myth, the Yaw legend, Lurkin Tom in that 19 Toyota. Talk about an awesome race. You had to track down boiled ice, and you ran into lap traffic about 4 or 5 laps before you had to start catching them. And that was kind of a nail biter, but you were able to get around Suicide Ways and then work your way up. You had a beautifully fast mid-run and long-run car tonight. How did that play into strategy and to come home with an amazing win?
First of all, I just want to say thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Really appreciate having these races broadcasted. I know it takes a lot of work on your end. So very, very appreciative of that. For Boyled and Gavin, that was really fun up there, mixing it up. I think Boss and Seth were up there too at points. So I just had a lot of fun racing. There's multiple lanes of racing. You could get through the corners in a bunch of different ways. But towards the end there with that little, like pretty much half, 20-lap run, I was going to go with 2, but then I didn't have the best short run car. I figured Gavin had the best short run car, so I decided I don't know, because if he does that too, I think he'll probably catch me. So I went with 4. He went with 4, which was lucky. And chasing down Boyled, I was getting nervous because I did have a little traffic there with like 10 to go. And I was like, oh man, I really got to get going if I'm going to get him. But I ended up getting through that, and he had the old tire, so there's nothing really he could do. So, but he had a good strategy though to gain all those positions back. I don't know, just a lot of fun, a lot of 3 and 4 wide racing at points when we were close together, and we kept it mostly clean. It was a fun race.
It was definitely a fun race, Lurkin, and of course, showing everybody why you were the original TNT champ. So I do have one little favor. Give the fans at home one of your famous yaws.
Yeah. Come on down to TNT. Do some racing.
Thank you, Lurkin. Always a pleasure to have you on here. For the rest of ARCS Racing Network, we go to, let's see here, I believe it is Vegas we are at Bristol this weekend?
Nope, we just did Bristol.
Yeah, we just did Bristol at A squared. So
Mhm.
we are at Vegas this weekend on Sunday for A squared. Tuesdays, ARCS 2 and 3 will hit Bristol or not Bristol, will hit Vegas as well. Thursday Night Thunder. Let me check the schedule to see. Lurkin, where are we out on Thursday? Next week.
I think we're at let me check. Speedway?
Well, yeah, we are at Talladega. We will be at Talladega next
Going to
Thursday. So tune in, guys. ARCS Racing Network on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Check out Carter Broadcasting this coming Saturday, where we tackle Bristol and iRacing trucks. If you like what you saw and you want to race with us, visit racearcs.com for all information on current and future plans here at ARCS. Fill out the application. We will get you racing ASAP. Check out the Chili Bowl and the Jingle Jam, our special races coming up during the holiday season. This is SK and Kevin signing off for another.